I'm Jennifer. This is Eric. We're kind of representing the kids, grandkids, great-grandkids. There's too many of us to talk. Margaret and Lee were very blessed with children, and they're so there's lots of children and lots of redheads. But we also have Amber and Josh and Brandon and Nick and Susan and Scott and Bree and Quinn and Riley and Derek and Vincent and Max and Annabelle and Teal, Scarlett. Dora.
I think we got them all.
All right. And there's pets, but we're not going there. Lots of those too.
They're in the back.
They are in the backyard, every one of them.
Good.
Yeah. Well, my dog's like the size of a horse, and she's in the kennel. So we're basically going to just kind of remember Grandpa from kids' perspectives. He wasn't our dad. He wasn't our husband. He was our grandpa. So we just have a few stories, and the biggest thing everybody needs to know is Grandpa really liked peanut butter. That was his favorite. And I'm going to start with a story on that note. Brianna and I stayed the night when we were little, like tons of times. And then there was one night we used to try to put each other to sleep drawing pictures on our backs, and we heard this creaking in their home. And little girls, we got a little scared. And so Bree and I were talking like, who's going to go out there and see where it is? You know, because we're, of course, I'm the one who went. And so I'm creeping, and then I get to the kitchen and I hear, and I peek around the corner, and Grandpa goes, Jenny, is that you? And I'm like, yeah. Grandpa goes, oh goodness, I thought you were grandmother, because he was eating peanut butter out of the cabinet. And she had to get on to him. So, yeah, that's one really good. My grandpa had a fabulous sense of humor, very dry, passed on to my dad, Dennis. You just have to get that dry sense of humor, but he's really a funny guy.
And it's, first of all, we want to say thanks for everybody for coming to celebrate our grandpa's life and all the wonderful things that he did. And when we were thinking about it, we were talking about these stories about our grandfather, the one thing that always comes back to our memory is how selfless he was towards his grandkids, that he would do anything for us at any time. And the little lessons and the life lessons that he taught us are things that will stick with us forever. And on the evening that he passed, we were all together and we were just kind of telling some stories. And I was thinking of this very, very unique story of a lesson that he taught me, and I'll get to it at the end. And for those of you who ever visited the Hart compound, as we refer to it as, during the good days when there was the swimming pool, was something that we got to hang out in and swim in. And for kids, that was just phenomenal for the technology and everything else that they can entertain themselves with. That pool became kind of a haven for us at all times. And I remember specifically one of the irritating parts of this pool was to clean it. Nowadays, you've got the little newfangled chlorine things that just spin around and clean it for you. And it's just like people don't know how to do it on their own. And if you know our grandfather, you know that he didn't take those shortcuts. He made sure that he did it himself, or he made sure that others knew how to do it. So one day, it was my turn to do the cleaning of the pool, and he had this itty-bitty little vacuum. It was like a dustbuster to clean the pool. It was terrible. And I was like, Grandpa, what are we going to do here? He's like, you're going to clean the pool with this little vacuum. I was like, okay. I was like, so I would go underwater and I'd be vacuuming. It was only this big. And I would go underwater and I'd vacuum, and 30 seconds later I'd have to come back up. I was like, man, Grandpa, this is going to take forever. And he's like, well, I got a solution to that. He's like, I got to figure this out. I'm going to tie a brick to your ankle, and that will hold you down there, that you can stay and you can clean longer, and you can, it's a brick, so it's not that heavy, so you just come back up whenever you're done. These are the little lessons that he taught us. I was like, goodness gracious. Okay, so tie the brick to my ankle, go down there, and I start cleaning. And this is just taking forever. And he goes inside, working on the Shackley business, doing something while I'm out there cleaning the pool. So I'd say about 45 minutes or so later, he comes out to see how I'm doing. And I come up and I'm like, Grandpa, there has just got to be an easier way to do this. He's like, we don't need an easier way. I got you. I guess that's a good point. But the lesson in that, it's not the lightheartedness of it. It was that we're not going to find some really expensive way to clean this, to maintain this pool. We're going to do it ourselves. And that was the one thing that he taught us more than anything, whether it was learning directions, driving, because nothing was ever left or right, was it, guys? It was east, it was west, it was north. That's the way you were moving. You didn't get to say you go to Holkey and take a left and go down the road. It was you go to Holkey, you go turn east and you go a half mile down the road. It was the way that he operated. It was the way that he spoke to us. He taught us. He helped teach us to be self-sufficient, to be independent thinkers, and to be problem solvers. It was one of the things that was so wonderful about our grandfather, that he took the time to teach us those things, where a lot of people would not. Where there's so many things in life that are moving so fast and so many things that are going on, he physically took the time to teach us how to do the little things in life that make things work, that make you a better person. And it's one of the most endearing things that he did for all of us. 100% to every single one of us. He did it. He took the time for me, for Nick, for Amber, Jenny. The list goes on, for Bree, for all of us. And then he treated the extended family, the spouses, the husbands, everybody the same way. It was just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing that he was able to do for us.
And there's nothing that can't be fixed with duct tape. like the lining in the pool, everything. You can wrap Christmas presents with it. We all know where those came from.
We don't need to buy new ones.
We would do white elephants with the family, and everybody got stocking. And if it was wrapped in newspaper, a shack box. We didn't know it was Shackley. All we saw was newspaper and duct tape. And that was always the last one to be picked, guys. Always the last one, because you never knew what was in that box. Because Grandpa, truly, white elephant, you never knew what was in there. So, and by the way, when we were all little, he wanted us all to be protege ping pong players.
No.
Yes.
It's table.
Table tennis.
You've never seen him get more upset when you call that darn game ping pong. It's like, I never heard our grandfather, I never heard Grandpa say one bad word, one negative thing in his life, but boy, if you call that game ping pong, he wouldn't play with it. And that was the worst part. And that's one of the things that I think everybody needs to understand. From the grandchild's perspective, he spent all of his time playing games with us. Whether it was playing soccer out in the back, playing basketball, painted a three-point line in my driveway just so I would have something to do. You know, horseshoes.
He did some things in the backyard.
The little picture that you saw earlier going up, did you see the four of us arguing about croquet? Yeah, that was pretty much how it worked. But the lesson in that, it's not that he was helping teaching us about games and sports. It was that he took the time to do that. Like now, we get done eating with the family, and I'm exhausted because just the food is unbelievable over at the Heart Complex. It's just fantastic, Grandma.
Has everybody had scrambled eggs?
Goodness gracious.
Because if not, you guys should holler and say, I'm coming over.
We could talk for 30 minutes about how wonderful that is. But after all that, when those kids can't sit still, and I'm the number one person that cannot sit still, he was the first one to go outside and to organize a game. He was the first one to get us together, to get us moving, to do all of those things. And it was just one of the most wonderful, wonderful things, because we needed that. We needed that person in our life to be selfless towards us, to always put us before anybody else. And above anything else that we can say, I think that's the most important thing to learn. To learn about our grandpa, to learn about Papa, right? Was that he did everything that he did for us was for us, to make us better people, to make us happy, to let us know that family is the most important thing in life.
And that was really his calling in the church, and that was his blessing from God, was his ability to work with children, especially, thus feedback and all the people around the earth that he has contacted. But when it came down to it, nothing was more important to him than his family. And within that family, whenever there was a gathering, he was always outside with us. Not inside unless it was raining, but if it was raining and we were inside, we were cleaning, we were organizing, playing table tennis. But, you know, he did. He instilled in us, it gave the girls a man to look forward to meeting and marrying one day. It gave the man, the young men, you know, something to model after, how to be a good, because grandfathers can teach young men how to be fathers as well. And he did a fabulous job at that. And he also taught us how to be frugal, thus the duct tape. And he always put $5 in his wallet. And then one day I saw a 10 in his wallet, and he said he had upgraded because inflation. That's just the kind of man he was. He never wanted to spend too much, and if he couldn't buy what he wanted with that, then he just wouldn't have it. And there was so much for us to do outside, and he created with his mind and his hands, and sometimes handed us a shovel and said, get to it, you know. But now there's not one of us that don't know how to mow. We can all mow on a riding mower or push. We know how to cut limbs very well, put up Christmas lights, the big peace sign, we still try to do that. And you know, he was up on that roof, well, I mean, mid-80s, he was probably 85, still on that roof. I mean, he was determined to always bring tradition to family. And there was something sound in that he gave to us. And we're forever grateful for that, for sure.
I think one of the most important things that we can say, and we'll end with this, was that from the grandchildren, every single one of us is a better person today. We have more love in our heart because of the man that he was, the way that he treated us. And we will forever miss our Papa, but he will always live in our hearts and in our spirits, and we will do everything in our power to model the example that our grandma and our grandpa have set for us. And we will miss him forever, but we will see him one day, and can't wait for that.